Pamela couldn't believe it. She could do nothing but think fast. Her survival depended on her decision. She couldn't believe that she was free from slavery. Her master's reign had come to an end. British soldiers returning from the Caribbean had been shooting slavers on the Queen's orders. Upon hearing this, Pamela's slavers, in fear, abandoned their ship and rowed away on rafts. There she was, in a bamboo cage, confused. Her slavers had jumped into the ocean and left her and the other slaves on the ship. The ship had been drifting aimlessly for 3 days. Pamela had to do something. She moved closer to the door and struck it open. She fell to the floor as she struggled to stand. Looking around, she saw a knife and a half-eaten pineapple on a table beside her. She shuffled backward toward them, untied the ropes binding her arms, and quickly bit into the pineapple. She hurriedly began to free her fellow slaves. They started scavenging the ship for anything to eat. Luckily, the slavers had left behind plenty of food. A struggle broke out among them. When Pamela visualized what was about to happen, she knew she had to intervene. She took one of the rifles left behind by the slavers and shot into the air. Being a hunter's daughter, she had learned how to use a rifle. Everyone stopped and paid attention. She then began to address them. "We are lucky. Fate has just given us freedom. Look around, do you see anyone? It's just darkness. We can't see each other. We're like a bunch of black cats in a coal mine. We're just filthy slaves without purpose. We need to pull ourselves together and stop this madness. We have our lives to fight for. We must preserve the food we have and share it sparingly. We have a ship and a few weapons. We're far from home. It's been 2 years since we left. We have been in this ship long enough to forget what sunlight feels like. We've been transferred to more than 10 ships. There's no way back home for now. This ship is our only hope, our only home, our only way. So let's make the most of it before someone decides to turn us into space pirates' dinner." As she spoke, everyone stared confused, some of them still chewing with their mouths full. She wasn't sure of their support for her suggestion, but she still believed in trying. She did everything counting on the support of one person, her childhood friend, Shikanga. Shikanga was always fond of Pamela. They grew up together and played together. They were always inseparable. Perhaps that was the main reason they had been captured together by the slavers. The two childhood friends had stuck together during slavery and were ready for the new task ahead. Days after their freedom, they managed to take control of the ship's leadership. They shared notes on how to manage each fellow slave on board. One evening, as they were reflecting on the day's occurrences, they heard a whistle as a bird peeped and flew by. "Look, Mulingu has done it again. He has brought us out of our miseries. We are approaching land," Shikanga shouted. "Why are you shouting? Keep it quiet. Someone from the island may hear us and attack. Let's be careful. Go pick up your swords and position yourselves around the ship. If the inhabitants attack, we must fight," Pamela insisted, though she appeared scared. They docked and entered the island quietly, their swords unsheathed and ready to attack. The island had nothing but a thick forest, no buildings, no structures. It was so silent that not even a sound could be heard. The only strange thing was the fruits dangling from the branches, as if there were no animals or birds around. To Pamela and the group, nothing could scare them more than their past. They badly needed to eat and rest. They positioned guards around them and began collecting fruits and roots. After feasting on what seemed to be free fruits dangling from the branches, they started dozing off one by one until the last one of them. Pamela was jolted awake by a slap on her back. Her vision was still blurry as she hung upside down. The air was thick with smoke, making it difficult for her to see clearly. She tried to move, to untie herself, but a blow to her back made her cry out in pain, bringing her back to her senses. Shikanga was tied to a magumo tree in front of her, while the other members of the group were bundled up in cages, their faces contorted in fear. She forced a look around. They were surrounded by a group of warriors dressed in dark skins, with snakes draped around their shoulders. The warriors were feasting on a large piece of roasted wild meat. Holding a piece of ribs, one of them shouted at Mukalo, Shikanga's younger son. "Tell me who is your leader, and I will give you this piece of meat." Mukalo stole glances at Pamela and read her expressions. He hurriedly moved from the front door to the middle of the cage. Seeing no hope, The warrior took a bite of the piece of meat and chewed loudly. After a few murmurs among themselves, the giant opened the cage, grabbed Mukolo, and took him away. Who is the leader, or the boy will die? Seeing the seriousness on their faces, Shikanga stepped forward. They returned Mukolo to his cage and departed with him toward the nearby thickets. Just as they disappeared into the foliage, loud explosions and gunfire erupted from their direction. After a few minutes of exchange of fire, several warriors scampered aimlessly toward the captives. One of them was bleeding heavily from a gunshot wound. An army of British soldiers then followed from the thickets. As the warriors ran past Pamela and her group, one of the British soldiers shot at the ropes tying Pamela, leaving her fall on the ground with a thud. "You are free to leave. The era of slavery has no place in our society," one of them said as he opened the cages, letting everyone out. Upon release, Pamela headed toward the bushes, looking visibly disturbed. She pushed through the thickets, knocking down every shrub in her path. It was clear she knew exactly what she was searching for. Focused and determined, she continued for a few miles until she found a bloody shirt. She recognized whose it was, and a wave of fear washed over her. Carefully, she picked it up and resumed her search, turning over every stone in her way. A thick drop of sweat traced down her face as she paused to catch her breath. Suddenly, she heard a sound. She turned back only to see Mukolo. "Let's keep looking. Your father is alive. He is too strong to die easily. He is too kind to die in such a filthy place." They continued their search and headed downhill toward a nearby river. Soon, they spotted droplets of blood along the bank. Following the trail, they were about to cross to the other side when they suddenly heard a noise. Approaching cautiously, they saw someone at the end of the riverbank. As they drew closer, they discovered a man on the ground, face down and shirtless. They hurriedly turned him up only to find a warrior. Mukolo took a stone and lifted up to crash his head. "Stop it, don't do it, son. Let's leave him. You can't turn into a monster like them. Give me the stone, please. I'm still alive," Shikanga shouted as he emerged from a nearby thicket, joining them. Mukolo dropped the stone and leaped into his father's arms as Pamela stood frozen, relief washing over her upon seeing her friend alive. After a moment reunion, they nursed their wounded enemy and left with him. There comes a time in one's lifetime when hope becomes a utopia. It's a moment of self-realization. It's a moment of sincerity. It's a moment worries of conformity from others mean nothing. It's a moment survival becomes priority. It's a moment of pure spirituality. Perhaps this is the best time life-changing decisions are made. 2 months later, the islanders and their visitors had to learn to coexist. The captor and the captive found themselves sharing the same village, with the captive in control. The attack by the British soldiers had left only a few wounded islanders alive. The circumstances faced by both the islanders and Pamela's people compelled them to forge a truce. They had no choice but to coexist if they wanted to survive. Perhaps their spirits visualized the future before their bodies could. The islander Shikanga had nursed was now the leader of the few remaining islanders. His name was Mali. Mali had approached Shikanga for a truce. Recognizing him, Shikanga had taken him to Pamela. He appeared shocked on realizing Pamela was the leader of the newcomers but not Shikanga. It was a new thing for him. After negotiations, the two groups agreed to a truce and decided to live together. Pamela would remain the leader, with Shikanga and Mali serving as her deputies. The islanders revealed their hidden stores, concealed farms in the forest and underground houses. Pamela understood that she had to ensure the two groups coexisted peacefully. It took time for them to earn each other's trust, but gradually, they began to build that bond. Mali and his people had their own customs. To them, children were not considered a priority. According to their traditions, for a child to be born, the entire group had to agree to it. This may be one reason why their numbers were few. Mali also prohibited fraternization and held the authority to decide when a young man was ready for marriage. He even selected maidens for them and had to give the go-ahead for a couple to have a child. Pamela appreciated the islanders' customs and even encouraged them to adhere to their traditions. She consistently supported Mali and emphasized the importance of staying true to their originality. While she encouraged her own people to reproduce abundantly, like ants, she urged Mali to uphold and honor their customs. Pamela had vowed never to interfere with or force the islanders to adopt new practices or customs. Since the islanders lived underground, Pamela and her growing community resided on the surface. They made good use of the island's resources, clearing forests to plant crops and setting up fish ponds. They domesticated some wild animals, such as rabbits, horses, dogs, and cats, and even exchanged cows with the islanders. They collected all the guns and gunpowder left behind by the slavers. Pamela established an armory and granaries, both of which were guarded daily. To Pamela's people, life had just begun in a new way. Life had given them a new purpose. I would say sometimes when a new chapter is about to begin in a person's life, their present life tends to resist. The fear of change is not only meant for a person, but also for life itself. Perhaps that is why life often seems so difficult when a new and a better one is about to unfold. Before Pamela's people arrived, the islanders called this island incense, perhaps because of the scent of marijuana they smoked every evening. This scent seemed to affect Pamela's people. They could sleep peacefully, but often woke up to conflicts the next day. On one occasion, Pamela had handled a case involving one of his people going mad and jumping into the ocean, drowning in the process. "Shikanga, have you realized how the island is becoming rowdy every morning? We have been solving assault cases every day. The fighting keeps escalating. The youth are very aggressive and unruly. We don't have the traditional Lahia liquor brewers of Chang'an on the island. What could be the cause of this chaos?" Pamela asked, pissed off. "Perhaps the demons of Amusakulu followed us from a millennia. That's the only thing capable of making them aggressive," Shikanga reiterated. Pamela and her people were becoming suspicious of smoky evenings. Every evening was always smoky. Perhaps it was a norm for Marley's people to cook at night. Maybe that was the reason behind the daily smoky evenings. The problem was that these smoky evenings seemed to resurrect the demons of Amusakulu, which made Pamela's people fight and quarrel. Pamela had approached Marley one evening, asking him if his people were violent every morning. Marley burst into laughter. He then paused and stared at Pamela. He brought out a bundle of rolls, squeezed them across his nose, and breathed in, letting out a sharp sigh. He gave them to Pamela and told her to give them to anyone found fighting. He promised perfect results. The next day, a few young men were caught fighting. They were apprehended and taken to Pamela. The rolls were prepared and given to them to smoke. After a few puffs, the men appeared calm for some time, then became more aggressive and talkative. As a young leader burdened with significant responsibilities, Pamela had perfected the art of dispute resolution. Every challenge she encountered became a valuable learning opportunity. Over time, she honed her ability to approach new problems with an even greater sense of awareness and openness. She asked Shikanga and a few men to follow her to the islanders' caves. A small cloud of smoke was already curling up over the entrance. Upon entering, they found the islanders lounging in small groups, all smoking long rolls. When they saw the intruders, everyone suddenly turned to face them. Instead of hostility, they all smiled awkwardly and broke into uncontrollable laughter, as if they just shared the funniest secret in the world. "Welcome to de party, brethren. How ya like fi be served? Ya prefer long or short pipes? We got a special recipe fi de visitors. His Highness and Holiness, Jah Hail Selassie, will celebrate today by receiving new pickney to de fee house." Marley chanted louder as he came out to welcome Pamela. Pamela stood there, perplexed. She nearly burst out laughing but managed to hold it in. Marley took a few puffs on a roll and then handed it to her. She took it, examined it, and immediately recognized the scent. It was a familiar aroma she'd grown used to every evening since their arrival. She knew exactly what to do. Glancing at the smiling groups, she gently returned the roll to Marley, waved awkwardly at the gathered islanders, and hurriedly made her exit, as if the smoke itself was about to pull her into a trance. The next morning, Pamela summoned Marley. She instructed Shikanga to invite several of the oldest members of Pamela's group to the meeting. By the time Marley and his group arrived, Pamela's group had already settled. Standing up with a warm smile, she welcomed Marley and his team, expressing her pleasure at their presence, and then confidently began to address the gathering. "Greetings, my beloved family. I thank you for honoring my call. Today is a happy day and I wouldn't want to keep us waiting. My beloved islanders, I come with love and respect. I have got a small request, and I promise I am not here to rain on your good vibes. We all know how much you all enjoy your sacred herb, and we respect that. When you all light up in those caves, the smoke has a funny way of sneaking out and giving our island a good scent. I mean, we love the smell of it. It's kind of like a surprise visit from the god of scent. But yesterday, the gods of the sea complained to me. You have forgotten them. You have forgotten to bless them with the sweet scent. They requested that you shift from the caves and bless them at the beach every evening. My wonderful islanders, we love and wish you good. That's the same reason we can't withhold a dream meant for you. Today I encourage you to listen to the sea gods. Let's move the smoking party to the beach. Oh yes, I'm sure the ocean breeze will be the perfect match for your ganja. The fish might even give a little nod of approval as the smoke drifts into the sky towards the sea gods. Trust me, the sea is a far better spot than the caves. I mean, who doesn't love a good sunset with a bit of herb, right? Plus, the gods will be happy and give us rain to grow more herbs. Upon hearing this, Marley and his people erupted into applause, their cheers echoing through the island. They started dancing and chanting praises to Jah, their voices rising in joyful harmony. Soon, they were singing songs of gratitude and celebration. They lifted up Pamela, praising her for opening their eyes to see Jah's good plans for them. With newfound understanding, they realized they'd been shown a better way of calling down the spirit of good vibes, the smoke man, in a way that honored the gods of the sea and the spirits of the earth. Their hearts were light, and their spirits even lighter as they danced and sang, embracing the message of love, respect, and unity with the divine. The island was filled with the sound of joy, all thanks to the wisdom shared and the new path they now walked together. That evening, the islanders left their caves and made their way to the nearby beach. They lit a crackling fire, and soon, they were dancing and smoking in a joyful celebration. All their fragrant smoke drifted lazily on the breeze, carried from land out to the calm sea, a gentle reminder of their new harmony with nature and the spirits they honored. Come morning, the island awoke to one of the most peaceful days Pamela had ever seen since their arrival. The skies were clear, and the air was filled with a serene quiet. You could imagine the islanders still peacefully asleep in their caves, dreaming sweet dreams, while Pamela's sober people busy weeding their farms, tending to the land with calm and purpose. It was a perfect dawn, calm, peaceful, and full of hope, a new chapter for everyone on the island. For her first time as queen, Pamela had resolved a difficult problem that had caught her completely off guard. She handled it with such grace and generosity that even Shikanga was left wondering at her kindness and wisdom. It's called the power of a morally right innocent mind. With such a mind, societies can coexist without friction. With such a mind, everyone can be sure of being woken up every morning by melodies of whistlebirds in their blossoming orchards. With such a mind, flowers and grass can enjoy morning sunlight without being stepped on by running boots and falling missiles. With such a mind, both the winners and losers can still celebrate. It's a childish kind of a mind, an innocent kind of a mind. It makes decisions disliked by many, but the decisions are of benefit to the entire society. It makes unexpected moves that find people confused, but saves the day. It's a simple, uncomplicated mind. It's the origin of every single wise idea ever to exist. Every word originating from it makes a child smile. It's such kind of a mind that left our islanders smiling all along. It's called the power of a morally right, innocent mind. With such a mind, societies can coexist peacefully without friction. With such a mind, everyone can wake up each morning to the melodies of whistlebirds in their blooming orchards. With such a mind, flowers and grass can bask in the morning sunlight without fear of being trampled by rushing boots or falling missiles. With such a mind, both winners and losers can still find a reason to celebrate. It's a childlike kind of mind, an innocent kind of mind. It often makes decisions that many may dislike, but those decisions ultimately benefit the entire society. It makes unexpected moves that leave people confused but ultimately save the day. It's a simple, uncomplicated mind, the origin of every wise idea ever conceived. Every word born from it makes a child smile. It's this kind of mind that kept our islanders smiling all along. The islanders truly enjoyed their new way of life, to the point that some of Pamela's people began to admire it. They were well organized, each person showcasing their talents whenever their herb took hold of them. They had a remarkable gift for reggae music, capable of singing all night long, glorifying Jah with heartfelt devotion. It's true that a society is a system, designed so that every occurrence leads to another. It is structured in a way that everything functions or behaves in a specific manner. Everything is where it's supposed to be, at the exact time and day. A society is inherently goal-oriented. Perhaps that's why Pamela's people found themselves on this island. As the islanders sang and clapped, Mukolo liked the rhythm, but he felt something was missing. He remembered his grandfather's drums and Lidingu a Luhia guitar. He had learned how to make them from his grandfather and loved crafting them. One day, he approached Reggae, one of the islanders, and asked if they could try something new during their evening fire party. Reggae agreed but wanted to know what he had in mind. Mukolo led him to his father's backyard, where he showed him the newly made drums and Lidingu. That evening was truly unique. Both the islanders and Pamela's people gathered at the beach. Mukolo brought his Lidingu, while his friend Murambai carried the drum. The islanders lit their magic pipes and began smoking, while the Pamela's people drank their busa and joined in the clapping. Mukolo and Murambai gradually started drumming and playing the Lidingu together. The ocean gods seemed to take over the scene, as the spirits of the sea joined the celebration. The rhythm spread across the entire island. Children emerged, knocking dry sticks. Women ululated in joy. Pamela and Shikanga joined in, clapping along with the others. The entire island was swept by a new wave of rhythm. The ocean seemed to dance along, as if the sea gods themselves were reveling in the music. They kept singing and playing until they lost track of how the first light of morning was approaching. Mukolo and Murambai played their magic until dawn. The islanders and Pamela's people sang together all night long. For Pamela, something new had been born, a transformation on the island. It was a moment that deserved to be welcomed, cherished, and nurtured. It was a spark that needed cultivation to grow. For a leader, anything that unites people must be cherished. Unity signifies a stress-free reign, a long and peaceful sleep for the leader. It brings progress and prosperity to the territory, making governance easier. Unity grants a leader the freedom of mind to think clearly, fostering new ideas and plans for the people. Every ambitious leader must stand against those who threaten unity. Pamela saw an opportunity and knew she had to seize it. The next day, she called upon Reggae and Mukolo. She engaged in a lengthy conversation with both of them. After their discussion, Shikanga and Marley gathered everyone at the beach to share the message. After they had settled, Pamela began to deliver her address, her voice steady and confident. Her words stirred hope and determination among the people, igniting a shared sense of purpose. Good morning, my people. I know it has been a long, enjoyable night. We danced together, sang, and celebrated like never before. I thank Reggae and our boy Mukolo for their new magic that brought us together and made us have fun. Indeed, it's a new morning with gifts from our sea gods. I am happy to announce that a new baby has been born on this island, a baby called Reggae, a baby that has come to unite us. We call this new baby Reggae. The masterminds of all the fun we had yesterday agreed to name the event Reggae. We named it Reggae to honor the indigenous people of this island. Reggae told me that he was named after the island's first king. King Reggae must be honored. Our new event shall be named after him to honor our islander brothers. From today, we drop the names Islanders and Pamela's and name our island Reggae Island. We shall be one, and together we shall make this island great. Let's give a shout-out to our new island, Reggae Island. Let's also give a shout-out to our new event, Reggae Night. Pamela declared a new name for the island and the new event. The Reggae people had once again come together. The Reggae Nation had adopted a new way of life and a new culture. They played reggae every Saturday evening. As the islanders smoked ganja, Pamela's people drank busa. The Reggae Nation was a place to be. Pamela understood the essence of having living souls around. There is a difference between a living soul and a walking dead. A living soul is happy. It sees a bright morning and a clear vision of a new day. It is less reactive to negative influences from the surroundings. It is cheerful, playful, and focused. Bobbies love living souls. They will smile and even burst into laughter upon seeing one. Birds don't fly away whenever a living soul passes by. Dogs bark once and behave friendly when they see a living soul. Cats playfully frolic around a living soul. A nation with open amphitheaters has a lively society. Nations with open stadiums also have vibrant communities. A happy nation embraces sports and entertainment. A wealthy nation knows how to invest in entertainment. Every weekend, every soul sheds the pressures of the week and joins others in an amphitheater to watch and cheer at the top of their voices. Pamela understood this very well. She wanted a happy society. She wanted her people to work, but also to shed the memories of the entire week and embrace new ideas as they gathered during reggae nights. Indeed, whoever invented the Europa League knew the importance of a lively society. A walking dead soul doesn't see bright mornings. It wakes up to a dark and sad day. It awakens without hope for anything. It is more concerned with what happened previously. It remembers what John or Tim did that upset it. It carries memories of past events. It keeps dwelling on the past. Old memories define its day. Perhaps living in the past makes a soul a walking dead. Pamela wanted her people to forget their past. She desired living souls. She knew that dead souls are masters of revenge. She understood that dead souls are lazy and hopeless. She knew dead souls love easy pleasures and ways of life. She knew exactly what to do. Pamela envisioned a vibrant island, filled with lively and spirited souls. Her primary goal was to awaken their spirits from the shadows of slavery and violence, allowing them to embrace hope and renewal. She aspired for them to experience bright mornings and renewed optimism. Through innovative approaches, she devised a gradual transition from harmful habits to positive alternatives, replacing smoking weed with music and steadily substituting alcohol consumption, such as busa, with melodies that inspire and uplift. Her ultimate aim was to foster unity within the reggae community, forging new and inspiring connections that would strengthen their collective spirit. Each and every day was different for Reggae Nation. The music in them made it even better. They had made it a routine to unite at the beach every weekend evening for dancing and singing competitions. Each competition was always unique, new ideas, new music, and every kind of creativity. Pamela and Shikanga made sure all winners were recognized and rewarded. On this particular weekend, the music soothed even more. The drum beats, jingles, percussions, melodies, and everything played were on another level. The guitarists were really blessing the waves. Each and every band member gave their best. Mukolo was at the center of everything. He coordinated every beat and drumming. Mali was the master of the melodies. Everyone was so carried away with the sweetness of the melodies that they didn't see a guard fall down from a nearby bamboo tower. After some time, a second one fell, then a third, and the fourth. The music was so enchanting that no one realized what was happening. After a few minutes, monkey-like creatures started crawling from the ocean towards the island. In the frenzy of the melodies, something was about to go down. Unknown creatures crawling from the ocean unnoticed, the entire guard taken down without anyone noticing. Perhaps the devil of Sekendu had decided to visit Pamela uninvited. Perhaps the gods of the oceans had been soothed by the melodies and had decided to surprise the Reggae Nation. Perhaps they had brought more melodies from the ocean. Perhaps they had been awakened by Mali's incense. As everyone danced their hearts out, the creatures crawled slowly past them towards the village. Perhaps the ocean gods had decided to make their surprise stealthier by placing gifts in the huts. As the sweetness of the melodies continued to soothe the beach, Pamela's visitors crawled into the village. They went straight to the granaries, took what they needed, and crawled back into the ocean. Everyone kept on partying. The creatures had disappeared into the ocean unnoticed. The guards started regaining consciousness after some time. It was as if the ocean gods meant no harm. The guards had been stung by sleeping thorn arrows. They woke up confused. One of them was Mali's people. He rushed to Mali, shouting, "Red swimmers, red swimmers." Mali threw his flute away and walked toward Pamela. "We have been robbed. The red swimmers are back. We are in great danger," Mali shouted to get Pamela's attention, who was busy dancing. "Why, who is Reed?" Are you high? Are you already hallucinating? I told you to stop using so much of that stuff, Pamela joked him off. I am serious. We have been robbed. Look at the guards, they just woke up. They were stung to sleep, Mally insisted. How did they get past the guards? It's impossible. We've been here and didn't see anything, Pamela responded in disbelief. The red swimmers are very decorated. They are highly skilled swimmers and crawlers. They have highly poisonous chemicals that can melt a human body in seconds. The fact that they used sleeping thorn arrows on our guards, stealthily entered our village, and left without killing anyone simply means they meant no harm. Red swimmers are known to kill anything they come across, Mally insisted. Pamela, somehow scared and confused for the first time, ordered a search around the village. After leaving no stone unturned, the guards came back and reported missing supplies. The intruders had taken a number of cereals, honey pots, meat, and firewood. Upon investigation, Pamela realized that the intruders had taken only a few of her stores. It appeared that the intruders were kind enough to rearrange the stores and even lock the granaries back. All the children and animals were left untouched. Early the following morning, a heavy silence hung over the island, and one could feel the tension thickening the air. Nature seemed to mirror the somber mood, gloomy skies, thick clouds, and a cold drizzle that seeped into the bones. Around a weathered bamboo table-like structure, Pamela and a group of elders stood quietly, their faces etched with worry and sorrow. Murmurs of concern drifted softly among them until Shikanga finally joined the somber gathering. The ship is in good condition. We have finished loading the weapons and everything else, Shikanga said quietly, his voice tinged with a heaviness that matched the mood of the moment. Pamela stood there in silence, her posture tense. It was her second time sailing on her former slavery ship, and the memories weighed heavily on her heart. Shadows of a cruel past flickered in her mind. Though she had vowed never to sail on it again, the security of her people compelled her to do so. Shikanga had gathered information about the red swimmers and informed her of their last sightings. On this day, she was dressed in her old combat gear. She remembered how she had undressed it from a dead slaver after a fierce battle. She recalled how the slaver had fallen downstairs after being struck by a British bullet. That combat was more than just a uniform to her. It symbolized their struggles, the gift of freedom from the Almighty, and the immense responsibility of protecting her people. As her warriors boarded the ship, she stood back and watched in silence. Deep inside, she knew she was not fully ready. She was prepared to board, but the thought of returning home safely was uncertain, something that both scared and haunted her. Yet, even in that fear, she found strength in her memories. They reminded her that the darkest moments never lasted forever. There comes a time when a leader must make difficult decisions, dangerous choices that often involve loss and sacrifice. Sometimes, they have to gamble, hopping for the best, even when the path is uncertain. Many will never admit that their successes were born from gambles, from risks taken in moments of desperation. Of course, most life lessons are born out of accidents and unexpected turns, teaching us resilience and hope. After boarding, Pamela's group pressed on eastward toward the Caribbean, but an unsettling silence hung over the ocean. The waters were eerily calm, and the ship moved through the water with a quiet, almost ghostly stillness. The only sounds breaking the silence were the rhythmic clinking of shovels feeding coal into the engine, each clang echoing like a heartbeat in the tense atmosphere. Pamela and Shikanga stood on the upper deck, their gazes sharp and alert, sweeping the horizon with wary eyes. Around them, warriors were stationed, arms ready, each one tensed, waiting for the slightest sign of danger. The ship stayed close to the offshore, every moment filled with anticipation as they tracked the faint possibility of their pursuers lurking nearby, hidden just beyond sight. After some time, the sea grew increasingly rough. Strong winds ushered in a storm, accompanied by intermittent drizzles. Suddenly, a hook shot out from the ocean, flying through the air and attaching itself to the deck. A few moments later, something leapt from the sea and landed on the deck behind Pamela and her warriors. Confused and frightened, Pamela's warriors jumped and took cover behind nearby coal drums. A giant of a man stood there motionless. Soon after, another group of enormous warriors emerged from the ocean, landing with a heavy thud behind them. The two groups stood in silence for a moment, neither making a move to attack. Pamela retreated cautiously. The giant of a man waved a white flag and threw down his weapons. Pamela signaled her warriors to hold their ground. "Why did you steal my cereals? Who are you people?" Pamela shouted as she moved back. "The daughter of Makangula. She is now a queen. Look at you, you don't remember people," the warrior replied. Upon hearing the mention of her father's name, Pamela sighed with relief and staggered back. She couldn't imagine anyone knowing her in the Caribbean, let alone knowing her father by name. The warrior continued, "Your father was my best friend. We fought slavers together. I was with him the day he was killed. I couldn't save him. I had to run for my life. Ever since, I have been hunted relentlessly. The ocean became my home. I've been hiding from them for a long time. Now I am a free man. I've been observing your island since you were freed, only to discover who you are. Don't worry, I only took a few of your supplies, but it was my way of making myself known to you. I am Shisanya, son of Musonye the bullfighter." A moment of silence followed. A series of thoughts crossed Pamela's mind. She felt somewhat relieved and at the same time confused. She looked at the warrior for a while, then signaled her warriors to lower their guns. Pamela had seen Shisanya before, but the mention of Musonye the bullfighter rekindled her memories even better. As a young girl, before slavery came knocking, Musonye was a famous name. People called him the Dark Man, others called him the Dark Walker. He was said to have killed hundreds of slavers with his bare hands. Anyone could believe it upon seeing Shisanya. He was a perfect replica of his father. Pamela remembered a time when she was left in their company during her childhood, while her parents went to watch bullfighting. To some extent, one might agree that children are simply a new version of their parents. With their former memories erased, perhaps as a gift of a fresh start. Maybe this is one of the great surprises God has kept secret. What if death is just the beginning? What if the body is merely like an eggshell? What if our physical form is simply an eggshell in which energy like a being grows and departs when maturity is reached? What if we are a form of energy or a powerful force that the Creator values? What if our bodies are just the beginning of a long journey, a force in growth, evolving beyond this physical realm? They say life is full of surprises, and indeed, it has many. What if the journey never truly ends when the first body dies? What if coitus is simply a process by which two beings connect to merge their negative and positive energies, from brain to produce a new energy within a new eggshell? What if what runs through our brains is an energy in constant growth? What if this energy is connected to the same forces that the sun, magnetic fields, and Earth's metals possess? What if we are, in essence, a source of power, like a planted power bank for the Creator? Truly, life has billions of surprises, and Shisanya was one of them. His father's energy was evident in him. He was just a force that never truly died, an immortal force that kept kicking like eternity itself. Perhaps life is a force that jumps from one body to another, continuously evolving beyond the confines of a single existence. Pamela sensed this incredible force. Having a conversation with the son of a legend felt like speaking directly to the legend himself. She had come hunting for a thief, only to find herself face to face with a legend's son. But in that moment, it wasn't just a conversation with a son of a legend. It was as if she was talking to the legend incarnate. They say legends never truly die. They simply shift bodies. Shisanya was a legend in motion. The way he commanded his warriors, the way he spoke, and the energy in his every move and stride convinced Pamela that Musonye the bullfighter was still alive, his spirit alive in this very moment. "Let's go offshore," Shisanya insisted. "I know your warriors are hungry. My village is just behind this island. We may be few, but we are feared deadly animals in our own right. Let's rest here tonight, and tomorrow you can sail back." After consulting with Shikanga and a few other warriors, Pamela agreed to Shisanya's request. She ordered the ship to dock. They followed a bushy path that led from the beach through a dense forest. The island was a small, raised hill surrounded by the ocean. It wasn't as vast as the Reggae Nation. As they climbed, Pamela looked downhill and saw large farms on the other side. She marveled at the beauty before her, a stunning scene of green maize plantations stretching below, carrying the scent of life, hope, and relaxation. The village was like magic, a handful of plastic buildings connected by wires. This was exactly the future Pamela envisioned for Reggae Nation. She dreamed of making Reggae Nation great, perhaps even an island free from Mali's magic scent for the first time. Welcome, welcome to Idaho. You are a queen, and I am happy to welcome my own blood, an actual queen on my island. This marks the beginning of a new era, an era of black queens and kings in the Caribbean. Welcome, my sister. Feel at home, Shisanya said as he gestured for Pamela to sit. Shisanya was truly organized. Although there were only a few people on the island, he had everything arranged on another level. He had built bathrooms around natural hot springs. The island was blessed to sit on a hot tectonic plate, which endowed it with several hot springs. Water seeped from the ground, warming the island naturally. Shisanya harnessed this power for the good of his people. He directed the steam into pipes, which were connected to turbines linked to a series of bicycle dynamos. This generated electricity that lit up the island throughout the night. It was a well-built, resilient island. On this particular day, Shisanya was eager to please his guests. He served them 3 full roasted sharks accompanied by baked, unleavened bread. After this mouth-watering meal, gallons of busa were brought out. Pamela had never had the chance to taste it before, as girls back in her former village were not permitted to. But today was different. She was a leader, and she knew she had to do what leaders do. She glanced at the gallon before her, then looked at her confused warriors. She understood what was on their minds. Taking a horn, she scooped some busa and raised it high. "Cheers to our host, the king of the red swimmers," she shouted. "Cheers, cheers, cheers!" Her warriors echoed back, some louder than others, and a few accidentally knocking over horns in the process. She took a hearty gulp from her horn and nearly choked, then quickly refilled it. Raising another horn, she served Shisanya, Shikanga, and Mali. She called on the other warriors to bring their horns for a refill. After a few horns, Mali reached into his pocket and dramatically pulled out his flute. He stood up, nearly knocking over a pot, and began to play. The other warriors, not wanting to be left out, joined in, some with actual rhythm, others with just a lot of noise and wild gestures. Within minutes, the melodies took over, and the night turned into one big, cheerful one. Shisanya and his warriors had never experienced such an astonishing performance. Some of them thought it was a miracle, while others wondered if the flute might have been cursed. The music was even more soothing than the busa, although a few warriors were already swaying so wildly that they looked like they were fighting invisible enemies. The reggae beats took hold, and everyone, no matter how serious, ended up dancing like they'd forgotten their dignity. They say a bullfighter never lets the sun melt the morning dew before their feet are washed in it. Shisanya lived to honor this. Very early the following morning, he was already up to see off his visitors. His warriors had lined up along the beach as early as 4 a.m. as Pamela and her warriors docked. Shisanya's warriors kept blowing horns and shouting praises for Pamela. Horn blowing is a bullfighter's way of glorifying and stimulating a bull before a fight. It is also used to send messages about fallen prominent kinsmen. This time, Shisanya used it to celebrate his visitors and show honor as they left. As we recall, this journey wasn't planned. Pamela had left her kingdom to hunt red swimmers, only to find Shisanya, the son of her father's friend. Sometimes, life seems to follow a predetermined sequence, perhaps even a script. If we had a way of recording and rewinding each person's lifetime, maybe we would realize the reoccurrences. Just as their parents had fought slavery together, their 2 children had coincidentally reunited in a foreign land. This union was literally a continuation of what their parents had begun. A meeting of 2 toddler kingdoms had come as a blessing. Such a coincidental meeting meant a new beginning. A meeting between 2 toddler kingdoms learning from each other. As the ship drifted into the ocean, Pamela kept staring back at Idaho. She liked its innocence, its originality, its virginity. Just like her reggae nation, her kinsman was slowly laying the foundation for a kingdom. This visit had ignited a new wave of ambition within her. She knew building a kingdom wouldn't be easy, but she was ready for the challenge. She understood what to expect and was prepared for both the good and the bad times. Even though the red swimmers had entered Reggae Nation with good intentions, she still felt the need to tighten their security. As she watched Idaho fade into the distance, a bittersweet feeling washed over her, an ache for the place she had been warmly welcomed, a place she was sure she would miss deeply. After a few miles, Pamela left the deck and joined the warriors. She signaled for silence and then proceeded to address them. "My warriors, I salute you. It's another early morning filled with blessings. Truly, it's a great morning. You can even see how dolphins are escorting us playfully, a sign of God's blessing and love. The recent events that brought us on this journey came at the right time and for a purpose. They happened for a reason. It's fortunate we haven't been taught the hard way. At least, our intruders were one of our own. But we may not be so lucky every time. I must admit I felt exposed when Shisanya's men accessed our territory. It's clear that our fighters are not yet well trained. I've negotiated with Shisanya to offer training for 2 of our warriors, who will then return to train the others. We will nominate 2 young men from each clan to attend Red Swimmers training. If we acquire their skills, our warriors will become the most feared. Our reggae nation will be respected and feared across the Caribbean. Remember, for us to grow, we must be able to defend what we work for. We must be ready to stand our ground and protect what God has given us. We miraculously escaped slavery a few years ago. If we want to maintain our freedom, we must be prepared to defend our reggae nation from any threat. I also want to thank everyone for the courage you showed by joining me on this journey. None of us knew what it would become, but by God's grace, we are returning home safe and sound. Let's look forward to a better reggae nation. May God protect us and our homeland. Now, let's pour some busa and celebrate. Some reggae, please." The warriors burst into lively music, playing their instruments and singing with gleeful energy. They poured busa freely, their cheers echoing with triumph and joy for their successful return. The ship sailed on, leaving behind enchanting reggae melodies that seemed to enchant the dolphins. The dolphins leapt joyfully alongside the vessel, flipping and swimming in perfect harmony with the rhythm, their playful splashes creating white bubbles around the ship. Everyone on board was brimming with happiness. The melodies filled every corner of the ship, bringing a warm, festive spirit. The coal feeder danced to the infectious reggae beats, swaying with a wide smile, while the guards on sentry duty watched the lively dance with laughter and pride. Everything around was infused with the spirit of reggae music. Even the dolphins, as if caught up in the celebration, followed and danced alongside the ship, twirling and flipping in tune with the vibrant tunes. The winds whistled along joyfully, as the ship crisscrossed the waves, carrying the joyful sound of reggae far across the sea. As the ship drew closer to home, the distant silhouette of Reggae Island began to emerge on the horizon, bathed in the golden glow of the evening. The sweet melodies of their music grew louder, awakening the island from its slumber and filling the air with a vibrant energy. The rhythmic beats seemed to pulse through the waves, calling everyone to prepare for the celebration. Soon, the entire reggae nation appeared on the shores, children and villagers pouring out of their homes, their faces glowing with excitement and anticipation. As they gathered on the beaches, they greeted the returning warriors with joyful reggae melodies and lively music, their voices blending into a harmonious celebration. The air was filled with rhythm and cheer as drums drummed, and voices sang in unison, welcoming their queen and honoring their heroes. The island itself seemed to come alive, dancing to the infectious tune of their homeland's heartbeat. Every heart was filled with happiness, every beat echoing the joyful spirit of reggae, as the community united in celebration of their return.